That's because, that's because I still have a Canadian passport, I think.
And I think you still have that French Canadian accent by the sounds of it.
Oh, mais oui.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Marty Lauzon, the Director of Sports Medicine and Performance for the Atlanta Falcons. Thank you, Marty. You can give him a round of applause if you want. That was easy. You didn't have to say anything. You already got a round of applause.
I know, that's great.
How are times changed, Marty? Back in the day when I was years of old and you were a trainer here with the Ottawa Rough Riders, the treatment was ice and sound, right? How has it changed in terms of data collection and optimizing your athlete's performance? How have things changed for you?
Well, I'm a physical therapist by trade, and so from a physical therapy standpoint, modalities change. We all always hear about how surgeries have evolved, but so does physical therapy and sports rehab. From a documentation standpoint, from a modality standpoint, and from a hands-on standpoint, there's always new techniques that come out, new modalities, and I think it's always about staying on top of the latest technology and see what research shows and how it's helped players and try to apply it to our guys. From a performance standpoint, the heart rate monitors and the GPS system, so always trying to track your guys and making sure that you optimize their performance, whether it's from a on-field perspective, nutrition, sleep perspective. Those are things that when you were playing, we weren't talking much about, and now we all talk about players,
I know
with them on a daily basis.
I know back in the day with the Ottawa Rough Riders, there are plenty of guys who should have had GPSs because they made their way to Hull before they went to the stadium. How is your approach to sports performance filtered down to youth football? Because I know that you guys are heavily involved in youth football, and let's face it, whether you want it or not, people look to you and say he's the expert, and whatever he does, if it works for Julio Jones and Matt Ryan and company, it's going to work for our kids.
Yeah, I think what the both guys had Julio had a interview the other day with ESPN, and his main focus was a clean diet and eating well, eating properly. And then with Matt Ryan, gave an interview last month. His main focus was sleep. So those are the things we talk about with our guys here on a daily basis, how they feel, any complaints, and trying to hit the complaints before they become an issue. So some of that stuff when like I go to pick up my kids at school and I see the football coach there, that's what they're interested about. And that's what they want to tell their guys. Hey, it's important. It's important to get sleep. It's important to start young to understand rest, recovery, take care of your body. So I think that's most of the message that the youngsters are getting, that it's important to take care of yourself, to report when you don't feel well, whether you feel sick or you have a complaint. So those are all things I think that are trickling down, reporting, talking, expressing how you're feeling in regards to that day. And I think that's really, especially around here, I know that when they give talks to youth football or we have guests here, that's really what we talk about.
Sounds like it's a culture thing. But with that said, Julio Jones is coming to you and say, I'm not feeling well, and he's your Porsche, so you're going to take care of the Porsche. But how do you make sure a guy who is a backup linebacker, special teams guy, also knows that communication is important? Because if he doesn't perform well, it could mean him losing his job.
No question. I mean, what we like to do here, it always starts from the top, from Thomas and Coach Quinn, putting that message down to players, especially in team meetings. Hey, guys, Marty, his staff are here to help you perform and maximize your potential. You do your job well, you help your brother do his job well. So I think the guys take it to heart that they need to tell us how they feel. We do a wellness questionnaire with the players every morning when they come in. That really is helpful for us to, gather information on how they feel. And whether you're, the number one guy or, number 50 on the roster, everybody kind of gets that voice to come in and tell us what they need for that day.
When it comes to a draft strategy, or if Thomas is saying, listen, there's 4 or 5 guys I'm looking at, do you get a chance to watch some film and say, okay, I like some things he's doing physically. There's things we can fix. There's some things that we just can't fix for him, and just in terms of how it translates to the potential performance he could bring to the table for the Atlanta Falcons. You were part of that because I know that we just finished talking with Thomas, and he spoke quite highly of you, and you're like that big ticket free agent signing when he brought you over from the Cleveland Browns. I can't believe you left the Cleveland Browns, by the way, for the Atlanta Falcons. But are you part of that conversation?
Well, what we try to do from our side with Thomas is, first of all, review all the medical information on each player. You'd be surprised how many guys come out of college with a number of surgeries or injuries, and really trying to evaluate the risk of longevity on some of those, and really giving them an idea of how each guy could play. Obviously, there's no guarantees in a contact sport, but at least from that standpoint of an eval with our team physicians and all that. In regards to performance, those are things that when him and I discuss a player and it goes into either testing that we can do here, then yeah, we do look at different things like explosiveness or different things like that that could help him in his decision-making process. But a lot of the time, it's him and coach seeing what they like on tape and on film of a certain player that played 3-4 years out of school, and we're there to really help supplement their thinking process.
You've seen a lot of change when it comes to sports performance and getting athletes geared up to compete. What will it look like 5 years from now?
Wow, that's always an interesting question, because I think a lot of leagues want to try things, whether it's the Canadian Football League, the National Football League, the NBA, the NHL. I think monitoring performance or sleep, I think that's the way it's going to keep going. A lot of wearables, technology, but it's going to depend on each league's collective bargaining process. From a player perspective, what they want us to collect, and from a team perspective, what we should collect. So I think some of it's going to be driven by either the NFLPA, the NHLPA, in regards to the amount of data we can collect. But I think it's important to collect data that helps ask you better questions. I think sometimes you can get caught up in an arms race of, oh, let's just collect all this data. But is it helping your club answer certain questions in regards to some of your players? So I think that's what we got to keep an eye on. It's not necessarily volume. It's just, is it helping us helping our players, because you can never say, when a modality says, hey, we're going to really help you decrease your injuries. Look, in contact sports, I don't think that's really, you can help guys, but play better and feel better going into an event. But to say that, we're going to systemically decrease, I think that's hard to say. But we can definitely help guys feel better, play better, perform better. So I think in 5 years from now, it'll be interesting to go, because there's so much now wearable technology that will give us more information.
I'm going to ask one more question. Is it because we have a lot of physiotherapists and trainers in the room? You play Monday night right on the West Coast in Seattle. You win that game, but you travel right back after the game, I believe, right? You took your charter right away coming back? And then you have a game on Sunday against the Buccaneers. How do you prep for a short week and get your athletes ready?
Some of it's obviously it starts before we leave for Seattle, educating the guys when they do their questionnaire. We tell them, we always have a flyer that goes on their iPad about the travel tips, the performance travel tips that they need to do that week in regards to what should they do on the plane. Should they stay up? Should they sleep? What time to go to sleep there? What to eat? Those types of things that we like to review with guys so that they go in feeling better for that game. Try to optimize the performance, and at the same time, as soon as the game's over, we review that with them. What are you doing on the plane on the way back, and how you handle landing at 7 a.m., what you should do that day, and what you should do that night, and each night to maximize your rest and come in and get treatment. And just so we try to educate them on that right away. Sleep properly, when's the right time, what to eat. So at least they can try to get that recovery from them. And when they come in for practice, Coach and I are really review how guys are feeling from the wellness questionnaire and try to design practice for what they need in regards to recovery, but also in regards to preparation for the next game. So a lot of education. It always comes down to, there's so much technology out there, and I get that, but I like to say it's still a people business, and it's still contact, and it's still about education. I think we see that. I was in private practice before. I've worked in different professional leagues in Canada, the U.S., and in college football, Canada, U.S. And at the end of the day, it's still education.
Based on your strategy, I got to tell you, come a long way since gnocchi and chicken wings at the Villa Deli on Bank Street. I got to tell you that much. Hey, Marty, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving from Canada. Everybody, yeah, happy Thanksgiving. It looks like you're with your family in your office having a great dinner right now.
Yeah, I got to meet them later on. But, hey, guys, I really appreciate this, and never feel shy to contact me for anything. I really appreciate the opportunity.